You want to know what are the best leaders in Warcraft Rumble, and you want to avoid using your precious resources on the wrong ones? Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. Top 10 best leaders in Warcraft Rumble. This video is brought to you by Warcraft Rumble, so I just want to say a big thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys like what you see on the screen and want to get involved, you can download the game by using the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. But without further ado, let's jump straight into today's main topic. If you are a new player, I want to share a couple of quick tips with you guys. Keep in mind we have 5 different families in Warcraft Rumble. Later on into the game, you will require to have a leader for each one of these families, aka factions. Once you unlock Heroic Campaign, you will require to defeat each one of the stages at least once with each one of the families. So you will require a leader for each one of them. So keep in mind, slowly and surely you will have to develop your account and invest in 5 different leaders. Now, I'm gonna make your life a bit easier to help you pick the right ones based on your own playstyle. Another thing to keep in mind, guys, some of these leaders are better for PvP, some of them are better for PvE. Rebalancing exists, so that might happen in the near future as well. So just food for thoughts. Some things might be changing in the near future. Another thing to keep in mind, you have the dungeons right here. I would strongly suggest you always pick the best leader that you have available in the slot and try to push with that one the highest. And then I would strongly suggest you, if the time allows you, to work on the other 2 as well and push it all the way to maximum level. Now, this resets weekly. I've already done a different video covering dungeons in general, so more like a overview, a guide. But these are the 3 leaders that I have available this week. Then next week, I'm gonna have something else. So always try to keep an eye on the leader that you are using the most from this specific family. And starting strong with the very first leader that we have on the list today, guys, is Styrian for Drink. Now, he is an amazing tank, very good for new players, very good in general for everyone, super powerful for PvE content. Not only that he is able to tank for you, but basically he will heal all the nearby friendly units. So that is a massive thing. You won't really have any other troops getting you a lot of healing in general. So having this as a tank at 4 cost is actually really amazing, and getting the extra healing. So you will find out that he is extremely powerful in a PvE, and you will get tons and tons of views out of this this character, you know. He does have some amazing skills as well once you start unlocking them. Unfortunately, funny enough, I haven't been lucky enough to be able to purchase the stars for him to get him to the next rarity. But you have the Divine Shield, which gains a magical shield at 30% health, absorbing all damage for 5 seconds, then regularly consecrates the ground, damaging enemies within, and heal the primary target for twice as much. So you have some amazing talents in here that you can unlock to make him even more powerful. The next one is Maiev Shadow Song, guys. Now, he is amazing for PvP. He is pretty costly at 6 cost, but overall, he's gonna be a very solid unit because he is unbound. He will bring you in quite a bit of damage. So on top of that, he will basically reduce his cost for each unbound troop you are playing in your team. And let's be honest, for PvP, unbound units are extremely powerful, and for PvE as well, you know. Now, my main complaint about this leader is that he is extremely expensive at the 6 cost. So he does a lot of good AoE damage. He can be deployed in stealth as well, which is very good. He's pretty fast. So overall, he's a great unit for PvP. And talking about his talents, he can actually become even better. So right here, you're going to be able to unlock one of these 3 talents. Of course, you can unlock each one of them if you like to. Enveloping Shadows casts smoke bombs on deploy and is basically making the rest of your allies invisible that are near him, which is actually really powerful. It can really give you the edge if you're trying to take over some of the opponents. Shadow Stab will basically make him teleport to a ranged unit whenever he's taking a hit. Not a bad talent either. And then you have Remorseless, which will deal double damage for 2 seconds after killing an enemy. Now, the double damage is nice. You do need to kill an enemy quick in order to make it happen. And if you are killing the right targets fast, you're gonna basically have a lot of extra damage, which is pretty nice. The next one is Hogger, guys, another tank, and I'll be very honest, he's one of my most favorite tanks leaders in the entire game. I don't know why, but he is so underestimated. Every single tier list that I saw so far has him ranked so low. I feel like people are really, really sleeping on this leader. Not only that he can tank, he can deal AoE damage. Every time you are playing him, basically he's going to increase his movement and attack speed by 35%, which is already a very, very good thing. Being able to move faster. So there you go. Pretty good speed, medium to fast. He will have very good stats. And what I like about him as well, that once you are unlocking his talents, guys, you're going to have quite a few different options. Hogger also gains 10% max HP health each time he's played. That's the ham hook. Then you have the spoiled meat, gains poison. Poison is so freaking strong in the game, guys. And you have the fatal frenzy on that. Basically gives bloodlust to nearby beasts, which is not that great unless you are really playing a lot of beasts in your team. But I feel like either ham hook, either spoiled meat is one of the best options for him. But honestly, one of my most favorite leaders in the game. The next leader that makes our top 10 is Chalga Razor Flank. Now, he is a lot of RNG, so be prepared for it because he has a crazy, crazy ability. Your minis in hand share the same cost. So sometimes your minis will cost 1 gold, 2 gold. Sometimes will cost 5. So you really want to be careful with what minis you are using in the deck with him. You want to avoid having extremely high cost minis because you never know what you might get out of it. Now, he is a cycle unit, 1 target damage, ranged. He can actually do a bit of work. You're not really going to get insane damage or anything like this out of him, but he can be quite a bit of fun if you like to gamble your way in. In terms of talents, you have the Nature's Grasp, root 2 additional nearby targets, but deal half the damage. Then you have the Cavernous Mists, deploy gold cost reduced by 1 gold. Probably that might be the best thing you would want to get on him if you want to reduce that RNG even more. Spirit Passage, mini splayed for 5 gold, gain a level and deploy in stealth. So this again, it will be very, very hard, especially when you have, for example, your miner costing you 5 gold or stuff like that. So it's very, very annoying, the RNG. That's why you want to reduce the cost 5 minutes in the deck, preferably, you know. At least that's kind of like my opinion. Moving over to the next one, we have Old Merc Eye. He's a pretty fun one because for 5 seconds after you deploy him, summons a Murloc Tidehunter for each gold spent on other minis. So if you are timing everything right, guys, you're going to be able to gain a lot of Murloc Tidehunters next to him. And they do deal a lot of damage. They are some of the best minis in the game. They do come in a bunch of 2 when you are using them as a mini. And honestly, I really like this ability that the leader has. Now, of course, he's not going to be extremely effective in every single game mode, so PvP, PvE. But overall, for PvE, you can get quite a bit of value out of him. And even for PvP, he can be very, very strong. And he will deal AoE, range damage, elemental damage. He's pretty fast. He doesn't have the craziest stats overall, but he has a pretty decent range. And yes, expect him to deal very well with the flying units. When we are talking about talents, we do have, of course, the tip of the spear. Tidehunters spawn at Old Merc Eye's location instead. So that is actually very, very nice as well because they will spawn straight next to him. Then you have the Marathon of the Murlocs. March of the Murloc lasts an additional 5 seconds longer after deploying. So basically, you're doubling the time that you have to deploy minis and basically gain 1 Murloc for every 1 gold that you are spending. And the next one is the Electric Eels. Attacks briefly stun enemies. Now, my most favorite one here is the Marathon of the Murlocs, guys. Having those 5 extra additional seconds to summon more Murlocs whenever you deploy other troops is actually massive. And one of the strongest leaders in the entire game, a top 3 leader, guys, is Rand Blackhand. Regardless if we're talking about PvP or PvE. Now, he is pretty costly at 6 gold, but he is actually very, very powerful. And he is a 2-man army, not even a 1-man army. He will deal AoE damage. All of your flying units will cost 1 less gold when he is in play, so he needs to be on the actual board. And then you do have basically the mount, which is on the dragon. Once that gets killed, he's going to dismount, and he's going to have his own stats as well. That's why he's a 2-man army, which makes him really, really cool and very, very powerful. Good range as well. Both AoE attacks, very, very nice. If we are talking about the talents, guys, so you have the Flaming Soul. Cast Living Bomb upon dismounting, damaging nearby enemies. And then we have Scale and Steel, guys. Gain resistant while flying and armored while dismounted. Now, if you guys are not aware of it, the minis have weaknesses and strengths, right? We have kind of like a different type of them. We have magic, we have physical, we have resistant and armored. So they will have weaknesses and strengths against each other. Then we have Legionary. Dismount when first taking damage. The Drake continues fighting. So like this, you're gonna have them doing even more damage. It is a pretty interesting one, honestly. I feel like it's pretty hard to decide on which one to get from here. I do think that it does matter exactly what you are planning to do with him and what opponents you're fighting as well. Moving over to Emperor Torisan, I actually unlocked him today, guys, and he looks pretty awesome. I had no idea about his existence, but he is a pretty awesome leader. So he will deal a pretty good amount of damage. But while in play, allies apply burn when dealing non-elemental damage. So that can be very helpful. Then you have, of course, AoE damage, how I mentioned, ranged, and he can tank as well, which is very helpful. He has a pretty good health, pretty good range. Speed is medium, so he's not doing too bad. So I'm definitely gonna work on him this week in the dungeons. If we are quickly gonna talk about his talents, guys, so we have a Moira Suite. Nearby burning enemies heal the leader. Hubris, after playing Torisan, your next non-elemental mini deploys with 2+ levels. And then you have Incinerate. Lava Spike's burn is permanent. So he does have some amazing talents, to be honest with you. I do like the Moira Suite to be able to get the healing on him. I feel like that is definitely very helpful. Of course, the 2+ extra levels on some of the minis can be really powerful. The next one is Cairn Bloodhoof, guys. Now, a lot of people are not massive fans of this leader. Personally, if we are talking about the Horde, I do prefer him over the rest, mainly because he can tank and he can stun enemies, which can give you the upper hand. It's actually a pretty good crowd control debuff, right? So making the most out of it is going to be pretty awesome. Overall, he is pretty expensive. 5 gold, that kind of like usually puts people off. But your Horde troops have their health increased by 20% when he is on the team as the leader, which again is going to be very nice. It does AoE damage, stun attack, how I mentioned, which it will basically allow you to change the tide of the fight. He's not the fastest character in the game or anything like that, but he can be pretty nice. Now, if you are unlocking some of the talents on him, guys, either he can resurrect himself with reincarnation, which can be pretty nice, right? 50% more HP, so you get to go again. You can move 50% faster and gain the fast rate. That can be very nice too. Or you have Aftershock. When the stun expires, affected enemies are dazed for 5 more seconds, which again is a pretty awesome one. It really depends if he's the only tank in your team. Reincarnation can actually work pretty nice. The next one is Gromash Hellscream, guys. Now, he is another tank from the Horde family. He is single target. That is one of the main things that puts me off usually when I'm deciding to pick a leader or just to pick a mini in general. If they're not hitting hard enough to actually make it count, I prefer to use different ones. But he will basically give Bloodlust to all of your nearby allies, and that is actually very strong. And he does have fairly decent stats, medium speed, so you can get quite a bit of value out of this leader. If we are talking about talents, you have the Blade Storm, gains an AoE blade spin ability that damages all nearby enemies, which is very nice if you get to unlock it. You have the Mirror Image, summons 2 fragile mirror images when entering combat. So that can be pretty nice too, to have some extra distractions on the map. Or you have the Savage Strikes, deals double damage to enemies who are below 50% health. So you do have some pretty decent talents for this leader as well. And the final leader for our top 10 today, guys, is Baron Rivender. This is one of the best leaders in the entire game. Definitely a top 3, regardless if we're talking about PvP or PvE. Very powerful for PvP. Basically what it does, it summons a skeleton at a control building periodically. So you will have to control buildings. If you want to defeat the opponent, you will have to take over their buildings, right? So having some summoned skeletons dropping in there every now and then can actually be extremely, extremely helpful. Now, this is a tank, is a single target tank, very fast. And if we're quickly going to check the skills, guys, we have that pact periodically sacrifices a nearby skeleton to be healed. Skeletal Frenzy, nearby allied skeletons gain Bloodlust. Or you have the Chill of the Grave. Summon skeletal mages instead of warriors, which is actually even better. Now, that was all for the top 10 best leaders in Warcraft Rumble, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to smash a like, subscribe to the channel for more Warcraft Rumble content. Thanks again to Blizzard for sponsoring today's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.